Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is the 15th of May. Are we on the 15th of May yet? 14th of May. Good morning to you all. Turn the volume down. We are live and we have a lot to get through. We're still over $103,000. I said last week, if we can hang on to $103,000, I will be delighted. And here we are, $103,000. There's a lot to get through. There's a lot of people thinking that this is the end of the bull run. There's a lot of people saying we're going to go down. There's a lot of people saying we're going to go to $500,000. I'm going to go through some stuff that we've got today and kind of update you on where I think we are. Because my opinion of where Bitcoin is going is changing on a daily basis. And it's not changing on a daily basis because my mind is like a scatterful field full of crows. It's because the amount of treasuries which are adding Bitcoin to the bottom line. It's because of the amount of Bitcoin disappearing from exchanges. It's the fact that there are rumors, there are exchanges lying about the amount of Bitcoin they have on their books. So my predictions, my targets for Bitcoin are having to be revised, and I'm not sure where I'm revising them to. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We are going to go through some news about Ethereum coming out of London. We're going to talk about Van Eck. We're going to talk about Solana, XRP. We're going to talk about CryptoPunks and a crypto kidnap, which we don't normally cover on here, but I think it's important to have a look at that. All of that in 1 hour, and if we get through it in time, I'm going to read you a speech. And that speech is to do with peace. Let me move up a little bit so I don't look like I'm drowning. There's a very important speech given yesterday, day before, I'm not sure. I saw the video yesterday, and I'm going to go through that speech at the end. And then I'm going to tell you who gave the speech, and you can decide whether you believe a word of that speech or not. But before we begin, the most important part of the day is to say good morning to Hidden Agendas. Kishan is here, Velvet Rope is here, Manjeet is here, KB is here. Good morning, KB. Sir Lamotte is having coffee. Good morning to you. I hope you are all well. Remember, say hello in chat. We don't bite. If you've got any questions, drop them into the comments. If you just comment, it helps the algorithm. It makes the algorithm realize that you are real individuals. We get normally between 30, 50, 55 people watching this show. About 8 to 10 people comment. So I know there's a lot of lurkers. I know there's a lot of people that watch that are not subscribed to the channel. I get that, and that's fine. You don't have to. But from time to time, if you could say hello in chat, that would be great. Bottom left-hand corner, by the way, we are sneaking up on 210,000 followers. That is a combination of YouTube, it's a combination of X, it's a combination of Binance and a few other places, all add up to 210,000. There's a few places that we don't include that push us up towards 220,000, but we can't keep track of everything. Anyway, good morning, Mags. Let's begin by having a look at the charts. Bitcoin is coming in just over 103,000, but look at the market cap, 3.36 trillion. Again, my target, 6 to 10 trillion for the end of the bull run. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Look at the volume, a nice healthy 150 billion in volume. We've seen days, have we not, where we've seen 26, 36 billion dollars in volume. 150 billion, decent. We didn't really move yesterday, and we got $150 billion worth of volume. Bitcoin dominance is a little bit on the slide. ETH dominance may break back above 10%. Remember, that was 20%. Don't have recency bias. Some of these prices look great. Ethereum's up 41%. Brilliant. We were over $3,000. Recency bias, if you bought at $1,700, of course you're 40% up. If you've been holding for the last 2, 4, 6 years with Ethereum, you haven't seen the gains. You might as well have bought Tether. XRP is coming in at $2.50. That is my target. $2.57. We're going to go to $3. There is a conversation to be had about an $8 XRP. My target was $5 to $7. Maybe I'm going to be wrong on that as well. Solana hanging around just under $180. BNB, could it go above $700? Possibly break the $100 billion market cap? Absolutely. Cardano sitting at 80 cents is my second target for Cardano after 60. Then we're going to go back above $1 if all goes to plan. Now then, what's happened in the last 24 hours? Radium is up. Walrus is up. Maker, Aave, Bonk is up. A few gainers. Radium is, of course, the biggest DEX on Solana. They're going head-to-head with Pump.fun. Pump.fun, of course, is the token launch that was creating all of these crap coins. They decided to launch a DEX. Radium has decided to launch a Pump.fun. It's tit for tat. They were way over $5 not so long ago. $3.50 still a good price to get into Radium, in my humble opinion. Now then, losers. Dog with hat. Pudgy for virtuals. WorldCoin is down there, 125. Trash coin. Sui has retraced, $3.90. I made a video about Sui versus Solana, which one of my favorite videos I have made, because the similarities between the two are eerie. Not just in the fact that the blockchains are very similar, but the fact that Sui is following the same trajectory that Solana followed. Solana went from 10 million to 70 billion in 2021. Sui is on the same path. It's coming in at 13 billion. Now, let's say for argument's sake, it only goes to 70 billion. That's going to put it at around about $20 odd. So people predicting a $10 Sui, believe it or not, I'm slightly more bullish than they are. And I think we should be looking at a minimum of $10. I think we could run to $20 on Sui. Now, I'm more bullish on Sui than I was on the likes of Ton, because I thought Ton was slightly over-egged, really. And again, that fell away. I don't see Sui falling away. I don't see Sui falling away. I think it's going to keep going. Anyway, let's have a look at some X files and see where we are. I love the fact that my internet works perfectly fine until we go live, and then it decides to kick it in the nuts. Okay, now, before we begin this video, I just want to point out that I'm a big fan of Ethereum. This is a little disclaimer in case anybody happens to be a massive Ethereum fan. I'm a big fan of Ethereum. I hold Ethereum. It's my second largest holding. But Vitalik, every time you just want something to look cool, you want an Anatoly. Even Charles Hoskinson looks cool, going around chasing UFOs and dinosaur eggs. And then we've got Vitalik. I mean, what? I mean, come on. He has to be the cringiest persona leading any blockchain in crypto. Crunchy would wipe the floor with him. I'm sure Crunchy can drop a few moves as well. Anyway, moving on. US inflation is down to 2.3%, lower than expected. You know what happens next. I'm not going to say that the money print is going to get turned on. It's not going to happen overnight. The QT is going to slow down before the QE begins. So the tightening is going to stop before the money print gets turned on. And I think, I think Powell is running out of time to start cutting rates, because I think it's the perfect time to start cutting rates. June, absolutely the perfect time to do it. May was maybe a bit too soon, but surely now the rates have got to come down. Whiskers, Whimsies, good morning to you. Why is Bitcoin falling? It's not really. I think it's going to perform a bull flag. When you have a sharp move up, you need consolidation. The RSI needs to cool off. We're at a really lovely point. 103, 102, 104,000 is a really lovely price for Bitcoin to be at. So Bitcoin falling would be Bitcoin going to $78,000. 25% drop. That would be falling. Bitcoin hanging around above $100,000 is not something I'm super worried about. Sui is now supported on Binance Alpha. So basically what this means is that Binance Alpha is kind of like a test bed for coins before they get listed on Binance. We saw it with Syrup. Syrup got added to Binance Alpha. It was there a few weeks. It got put straight onto the exchange. Mew, another one of the sponsors of the channel, that's also on Binance Alpha. That is more than certainly going to be added to Binance. Sui's blockchain is now on Binance Alpha. What does that mean? It means all of the meme coins and other coins on Sui, Deep, for example, will be available through Binance Alpha should they be listed. So again, I fought the Solana bull run in 2021 and I didn't buy Solana because I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe that a coin that was 5, 10, 25, 50, 75, 100, I just couldn't believe it would go on and on and on, and it did. So I am not going to sit here and tell you not to buy the likes of Sui or the likes of Sonic or these coins that are on a rip, because they could very well keep on going. They've got eyes and they've got momentum, and momentum in crypto is a big thing. Now then, the SEC has delayed the Grayscale Spot Solana ETF. Why? Because you can't put somebody's ETF live and not put anybody else's live, because it gives them an unfair competitive advantage. We saw it with Bitcoin. We saw it with Ethereum. They're all going to go live on the same day. What that means is that if FanX Solana ETF is not quite complete, they will hold everybody back until a certain date, and then there'll be a deadline. And when that deadline passes, all of these ETFs will get a go live date. That's what it means. So even though Grayscale may have applied 4 months before anybody else, they'll go live the same day as everybody else. That's just how it works, unfortunately. And to be fair, think about it logically. If you've got a license to sell a product and you've got 6 to 8 massive companies, it isn't fair to give one of them the lead when you know all of them are going to offer that product. So I understand that. Now, Cynthia Lummis is urging the US Treasury to eliminate taxes on Bitcoin and crypto companies. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm going to mention it again today. They are talking about zero rate capital gains tax on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto assets in America. It is massively bullish. There are a few narratives out there which kind of are being missed because of other things that are going on. One of them is the Ethereum staking for the Ethereum ETFs. It's going to send Ethereum above $3,000, $3,500 because people are just going to go out and buy it. This is also massive. If you remove all taxes from holding and buying and selling crypto assets, you're going to drive every crypto trader into America, and you're going to make everybody in America look at crypto and think, you know what, that's a really good idea. I'm going to get in on that. It's a big thing. It's a big, big thing. Don't fade these little tiny bits of news that are coming out, because they're going to have as much of an impact as other things. Now, Base, we don't really talk about Base a lot on here, but Base is kind of going unnoticed. But the volume is decent. The projects on there that we've talked about before, the Bretts, the Aeros, are decent projects. And in the last week, whilst everything else has been pumping, the meme coins have been ripping. The Condos, the Turbos, the other ones are recognised down here. What else do I recognise down here? I don't recognise many. I recognise Turbo and Condo, and that's pretty much it. But it happened. Andy as well. There's Andy. So I recognise some of these coins, but go and have a look at Base. Just because a chain isn't Solana doesn't mean that that chain can't generate you some returns. Maybe not on meme coins. You know, I'm not a massive fan of meme coins, but certainly on the likes of Aero, for example, and other coins on there. The other DeFi projects on there, the other DEXs on there, and the aggregators. Go and have a look at some of those coins because you can get decent returns. Again, Phantom, we want a wallet to be all things to all men and women, and Phantom would be a great choice. I'm not a massive fan of MetaMask. I don't like it, in all honesty. They've had so long to get it right, and to still not get it right is terrible. I'm a big fan of Phantom. They've now added Sui. Now, the thing I like about Phantom is you can have Ethereum and you can have Solana in your wallet, and you can simply swap between the two chains via Phantom. And yes, of course, they take fees. And yes, of course, it's cheaper to do it through other means. But for simplicity and ease of use, something like Phantom for me is great. I bought some Syrup USDC the other week, and I moved the funds. Where did I get the funds from? I moved the funds from probably Solana. I moved them into Ethereum, and I bought Syrup USDC. It was easy, and maybe it cost me $3 or $4. I don't care. It was simple. So this is where we want it to. Why can't we have all chains in all wallets? I know there is a huge technical reason for that, but retail don't care. Retail want a wallet to have all of their crypto in, their Bitcoin, their Ethereum. They want it all. So why don't they just have one wallet, or get to the point where we have one wallet with everything in? It's simple. It's easy. Right then, Bitcoin shrugs off the US CPI win as Bitcoin CEO says Bitcoin is leading the pack. Bitcoin fails to claw its way back to 104,000 and higher despite a would-be inflation tailwind and multiple liquidity grabs over the last 24 hours. Again, we have had a very big move up, and Bitcoin needs to create a history, a support at different levels. And we've talked about this before. Bitcoin, it's like walking up a set of stairs, and each step is a little bit of history that Bitcoin creates at those steps. 100,000, 92,000, 88,000, 81,000, 82,000, 78,000. They're all a little bit of history in Bitcoin's past. When Bitcoin comes down, it finds its next step on the way down. It finds its previous history. And you could have a coin, for example, that goes from $1 straight to $100, and it doesn't stop. But then when it comes down, where is the history on that coin? Where is the previous price action? Where is the previous level of resistance? Where is the previous levels of resistance that can become support? It's not there. You see it all the time with pump and dumps. The price goes straight up and then straight down. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. It has steps, and it has these levels, these plateaus where it stops. Now, I haven't looked at the chart today, but I would imagine that we're going to form a bull flag, and that could take us to a higher price from where we are now. But you can't expect Bitcoin to go 76, 82, 88, 95, 98, 103, 110, 120, 125 without either a slight retracement or a slight pause. It's like me. It's an old man. It climbs up a few steps. It gets tired. It sits down on the step for a while. It wipes its brow. It has a rest. Takes a little sip of coffee. Gets its energy back, and then decides to go up another leg. Give it some time. We all want a $1 million Bitcoin, but we all want to go to the moon. It's not going to happen. Bitcoin fails to capitalize on lower than expected CPI data. Wall Street sell off for the second day. Again, Wall Street was green for a couple of days, but massively green for a couple of days. Profit taking exists. If you're a trader and you are up 25% in a week, you're going to take some profits, or you're going to have a target where you sell out of your position. And when you have massive green days, people will sell for that profit. And who can blame them? If you bought, or if you went long on Ethereum 7 days ago, let's say you did a 5x long on Ethereum 7 days ago, you'd be up now, what, 300, 250%, whatever it might be. Are you going to sell out of your position? Probably. Or you'll have had to take profit along the way. These things happen. Traders take profits, and Bitcoin just has a little bit of a pause. Now, it doesn't, I wouldn't use the word stagnate. We've been here for a few days. The April change was the smallest one. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. I mean, again, for those people that worried about the price, we're hanging around at 103,000. If we break below 100,000, then maybe we'll go to the previous level. But I don't see anything coming out at the minute that's going to push us down. Everything is rosy in the garden. The only thing that's not rosy in the garden at the minute is Trump and Powell and Powell clearly doesn't like Trump, and Trump clearly doesn't like Powell. But I put a tweet up yesterday, and I said, it's like watching Superman fight Lex Luthor, and you want Lex Luthor to win. That's what it's like at the minute, because I believe Powell is doing the right thing. Of course he's doing the right thing. He tells you what he's doing, and he's followed that path for 2 whole years. Trump is not happy, but just because he's not happy doesn't mean he's right. Powell is making sure that the economy doesn't go back into an inflation spiral. If he cut rates tomorrow by 1%, or the Fed, FOMC rate cut was 1%, you know what would happen? We'd have inflation back within a couple of months. So he's got to turn the money printer back on slowly. He's got to cut interest rates slowly, and he's got to gear the economy back up. But he doesn't want it to overheat too soon. He's doing the right thing. We all want rate cuts because we all know it will send Bitcoin higher. London-based asset manager buys nearly $500 million worth of Ethereum in 6 days. London-based Abraxas Capital Management has purchased nearly $500 million worth of ETH in less than a week, according to Look On Chain. The firm bought an additional 33,500 ETH over roughly 12 hours. As of Tuesday, a London-based asset manager purchased this amount. They bought this amount. Over the last 6 days, they have bought 211,000 ETH. ETH was changing hands at 2,600. Yes. Ethereum's performance has been lackluster when compared to gains. We know about that. ETH is finally catching up after lagging behind Bitcoin for most of the year. The recent Petra upgrade has helped restore some confidence, and ETH Bitcoin down nearly 40% year to date at 0.2. It's not surprising to see buyers stepping in at these levels. In addition to positive macroeconomic news, traders believe the crypto industry may have finally found its second wind. Yes. Now, again, I have been telling you for months that Ethereum is somebody's birthday today. I've been telling you for months that Ethereum is not dead. The same way I was telling you that Cardano was not dead at 30 cents. The same way I was telling you XRP wasn't dead at 40 cents. I was telling you at $1,600, $1,700 that ETH is not dead. Anybody telling you ETH is dead does not understand what is going on, in my opinion. Will ETH keep its dominant share of the market for the next 10 years? I don't think so. Is ETH finished as a blockchain? No, it isn't. Both of those things can be true. What is going on Ethereum is bringing TradFi to crypto. Real world assets, tokenization is all coming, and it's using Ethereum as a conduit to come in. It's stable. It's not that expensive anymore. It already has massive amounts of liquidity. And apart from Vitalik, it has upgrades and a roadmap which are going to help it to fulfill the needs of TradFi. Now, what I think will benefit from this is, of course, the layer 2s I think are going to benefit from it, because I don't think everything is going to stick directly onto Ethereum. I think it's going to use it for a springboard to go from Ethereum to either some layer 2s on Ethereum or to Solana or even Cardano and certainly XRP. There will be an XRP Ethereum tie-in very soon. There will be a Cardano Ethereum tie-in very soon. Of course there are. So don't believe for 1 minute that Ethereum is finished. It isn't finished, and it's going to go much higher. But I'm not an ETH maxi or a Bitcoin maxi. I say things how I see them. That's what I always say on here. So for me, Ethereum is going to go higher. For me, Bitcoin is going to go higher. Just because we're going to have a slight correction along the way, it's not going to be the end of the world. I was telling you at 76, 78,000 that we could be over 100,000. I said in March, I said in March or beginning of April, that we would be at all-time highs by the end of April. And we're not. But maybe I'm out by a few weeks. I don't care. I still think we're going to have an all-time high very soon. And then maybe we have a correction to the downside. Maybe we go back down to $90,000, $80,000, maybe. But I think we've got another leg. And then maybe after that leg, we have the correction again. The way up for Bitcoin involves many, many, many legs down as well. So just be careful that you don't buy the top and you FOMO in. Just keep dollar cost averaging in and doing what you're doing. If you've got $1,000 to put into Bitcoin and you're doing it at $100 a week, keep doing it at $100 a week. That is simply how you do it. MicroStrategy or Strategy B, whatever he's called his company nowadays, they've been dollar cost averaging in for 2 years now, maybe more. Their average price is what now, 70, 65,000, even though they're buying now at 100,000, because they were buying much lower, the average price is still way below where they are now. So dollar cost averaging in is, for me, the way forward. And of course, dollar cost averaging out is the way to get out of the market eventually as well. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. If you're not an OG member and you want to support the channel, consider doing it. It doesn't cost you an awful lot. And we've made videos on dollar cost averaging out, market cycles. We make OG videos every single week. VanEck is to launch its first real-world asset tokenization fund. This is a good thing and a bad thing. The fund geared towards institutional investors will compete with BlackRock's Biddle, whatever you want to call it, and Benji for market share. Now again, there is a moral reason I don't like this, and you're going to read that in a second. The initiative places VanEck amongst a growing number of TradFi firms entering RWA. The fund is called VBill and will initially be available on Avalanche, BNB, Ethereum, and Solana. However, the minimum subscription starts at $100,000, and that is what I don't want to see. I don't want to see TradFi coming to crypto to benefit from crypto and then not rewarding people in crypto. Now, I understand that this may be their initial foray. The initial foray may be just to get themselves into the market, and maybe this will come down over time to 50,000, 25,000, 10,000, whatever it might be. I get all of that. But they're missing the point. Crypto and blockchain is supposed to be frictionless. And frictionless means that Tariq, with $500, can go and invest in Syrup USDC and earn 8 to 10%, which he can do. Tariq can go and buy $150 of another Ondo product, and he can do that. So when VanEck rock up, and VanEck, by the way, I don't believe are bad actors, they rock up and then offer 100,000 on Solana or BNB and $1 million on Ethereum, I have a problem with it. And my problem is that they're applying TradFi to Web3. And maybe, of course, maybe it's to do with KYC and AML and all of those other things. But that's their problem. It's not your problem. They need to sort their policies and procedures out. And it doesn't matter whether they can or they can't. If other people can do it, so can they. And that really annoys me. And that is another reason, I'm not going to go on about Maple now, that's another reason why we seek out specific partners to work with. Why do we work with Maple? Why did we apply to them to work with them? Because they offer frictionless products. Not all of their products, by the way, are frictionless. They do have some institutional grade products for their institutional investors, but they also have products for you. You can buy Syrup and go and stake it. You can buy Syrup USDC, and then you can go and earn 8, 10, 12% on it. Or if you go through Pendle, you can earn 100% on it. So they've catered for everybody, whereas VanEck are catering for the few, and that is something I don't like at the minute, and I'm sure it's going to change. So again, the positive of this is, of course, that we want to see all of these types of funds become crypto-based funds. The next stage along the line is a secondary market where you can buy shares in some of these funds that they've got. And then we're kind of there. But again, I'm just not a fan of bringing in and gatekeeping these products from people that have helped build crypto. And I know we don't live in a perfect world. I know that. I am not some bloody hippie with an afro, okay, or dreads. I understand why they're doing it. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, okay? Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Right then, let us move on. Oh, good morning, Charles. I hope you are well. KK, it's his birthday. Fantastic. I didn't know it's KK's birthday. Happy birthday, KK. 21 shares, says Solana, is on pace to become linchpin of digital finance. Again, 21 shares are going to say these things because they're applying for an ETF for Solana. So, of course, they're going to say these things. Think about why people say things. Don't just listen to what they say. Look at who they are and think about why they're saying it. Solana emerges as the leader in deep-in and crypto AI, commanding 66% of AI agent activity with tools like Eliza OS. Of course, anything that needs speed and low cost is going to go to Solana and Sui and maybe even Sonic because that's where the attention is and that's where your audience is. It's 5 years ago, this would all have been on Ethereum. But as I keep saying, Ethereum isn't all things to all men. So now we have the likes of Solana. Things are going to go to Solana before maybe they go to Ethereum. So it's the fastest growing layer 1 blockchain of 2025, surpassing Ethereum in developer growth and gaining ground across DeFi, payments, and AI. In the first 2 months of the year, Solana processed 364 billion in volume, and I guarantee you 363 billion of that volume is meme coins. But there we go. More than Ethereum and Coinbase, and now supports 100 million active users. I mean, that number, to me, is staggering. Now, I don't believe it's that number at all, because I believe that's active wallets. So you could probably divide that by 3 maybe. So 25 to 30 million real people are using Solana. And that, for me, is still a massive number. Even though it's a tiny fraction of the global population, some of these numbers are now starting to get serious. The likes of how many users Binance has got, for example, and others. We're talking about hundreds of millions. Wasn't long ago we were talking about tens of millions. So exponentially, we're seeing more adoption, more people come, and that's a good thing. We don't need to talk about fees. We don't need to talk about Shopify and Stripe. Stablecoin supply, we know, is on the rise. But again, you look at some of the stablecoin supplies on Solana, 12 billion sounds like an awful lot of money. You go and look in the corner at Ethereum. What's Ethereum got? 60, 70 billion dollars worth of stablecoins. It's where the money is at. But Solana should not be dismissed. So the DeFi ecosystem has grown to 8 billion in total value locked, up 100% from last year. Again, don't forget, some of these numbers can be deceiving. If the value of Solana goes up 100%, then the value of TVL, if it's in Solana, will go up 100%. It's not all in Solana, I know. But the point of the matter is, you see these figures which say, Ethereum's TVL has surpassed 100 billion, and it was only 66 billion a few weeks ago. That's because Ethereum's price has gone up 40%. So, of course, the TVL is going to go up because it's total value locked. What I would be interested in is how many physical Solana tokens, how many physical, not really physical, but how many tokens of Solana, how many tokens of Ethereum are staked to the validators? And what percentage is that of the total circulating supply? Because for me, that's a better indication. Because what happens when Solana goes to $1,000 or Ethereum goes to $10,000? You're going to be talking about hundreds of billions in TVL. But that doesn't really mean anything to me. I want to know how many tokens are staked or locked up. That gives you an idea of a trend. Is the percentage of Solana going up? Is there a trend up? Is there a trend down? That's the key. Because if it's a trend up, that's confidence that that coin is going to do well. The same way that when you see Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum being taken off exchanges, that's confidence that necessarily the price is going to start going up. Because if it's on an exchange, people can sell it at the drop of a hat. If they take it off an exchange and lock it away in a ledger, that means they're not expecting the price to drop. They're expecting it to go up. The same way this should be looked at from a journalistic point of view. If you had 20 million Solana staked on January the 1st, and you've now got 40 million Solana staked today, that's a 100% increase. That's the number I want to know. This number means nothing in my opinion. The same with the volume to some degree. The volume is based on the value of the tokens. Obviously, the value of the tokens go up, so does the volume. So again, some of these things, smoke and mirrors and hot air and all that kind of nonsense. But Solana is something that you should seriously look at. I agree. Solana is fundamentally undervalued. A discounted cash flow model projects Solana fair value at 500. Okay, this is a little bit like listening to the weather forecast. What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? It's going to be rainy. It's going to be really, really hot. I don't believe that you can give a valuation of between $500 and $1,800 on Solana. I would say top of the bull run, maximum $1,000. I'd say $600 is where I would like to see Solana at. And from where we are today, that's what, 3x? 3.5x from where we are? I think that's doable. If Solana captures just half of the market cap, again, don't listen to this kind of stuff either. This annoys me as well. You know what? This article has annoyed me. Who's written this? Assad, Jaffrey. Your articles annoyed me, okay? If Solana captures half of Ethereum's market cap, if I had half the good looks of Brad Pitt, I'd be a movie star. But I haven't, and I won't. So it's a stupid comparison. Utterly stupid comparison. Move on now, before I get annoyed. Solana Cardo, well, that's a really good question. That is an absolute stinker of a question from Charles. Solana or Cardano better for the next 5 years? If you're looking at growth potential, which is probably the way to look at that. Let me go here. I just need to reset my browser because my computer's making me look like I'm in some kind of underwater fish tank. That is such a hard question to answer. Solana or Cardano for the next 5 years? I think that, right, the reason it's so hard, and I'll explain why the reason it's so hard. Solana will be one of the destinations for mass adoption. So naturally, it will gain 200 or 300 million users. So that would give it a massive size. But Cardano is likely to become some kind of Bitcoin layer 2, Bitcoin sidechain, whatever term they've decided to use for it, which would unlock DeFi in Bitcoin on a massive scale. It's also likely to have some involvement with the American government, and it's likely to have some kind of connection to XRP, Solana, and Ethereum, and maybe become a portal for all things XRP, because XRP could use Cardano's smart contract capabilities. Cardano could tap into Ethereum's liquidity. So I can't, and it sounds crazy. If you said to me Solana or Sui for the next 5 years, I'd probably pick Solana. If you said Solana or XRP for the next 5 years, I'd probably say XRP. But I can't split between the two. Kishan says Solana. I can't split. I genuinely can't split them, because I think the growth potential of both is very good, but in different ways and for different reasons. So I can't split them. If you said Sui or Solana, which one's value is going to go up the most over the next 5 years, I would pick Sui, because it's coming from a position further behind. So I would pick Sui for growth. But I could equally see, Solana doing a 10x, and I could see Cardano doing a 10x. And because I can see both doing a 10x, or even a 20x over the next 5 years, it's hard for me to say. That's the problem. And it sounds crazy, because if you asked 100 people, I'd say 95 of them would say Solana, as Kishan has just said in chat. That's the difficulty. But the potential of Cardano to tap into Bitcoin would give it such a massive boost. You could be looking easily at a $20 Cardano in 5 years' time, which is what from here, 22x? A 22x from Solana would put it at what? Or 20x Solana would put it at what? $3,500. I don't know. My crystal ball isn't working. You've asked a very difficult question to answer. If you can't decide between the two, hold both of them. That would be my advice. And I'm actually going to make another video. I've got a video that I'm going to make today, and I made a really good. I made my best video, content-wise, yesterday, which was "Can Sui replicate Solana?" And I put it live yesterday. It's getting good traction, and that's my best video I've ever made because I like the fact that it's a question, a debate, and an answer. But it's been done with lots of facts and figures. And I have another one coming out, and I'm going to start looking at which assets have performed the best over the last 3 months, 4 months, and then seeing which one of those are assets that I would have picked. So the chain links, the Cardanos, the XRPs, the Solanas, the Ethereums, have they outperformed the coins I don't like? Have they outperformed Gotius Maximus? Have they outperformed some of the other chains that I don't like, say, for example? So how well am I doing at trying to pick real profitable businesses, and how well are they going to do compared to chains that I don't hold a lot of value in? So that's another video I'm looking at doing, but I haven't got around to doing it yet, and that is going to be something I'm going to look at. Now, CryptoPunks have a new home as non-profit acquires the IP from Yuga Labs. Now, these are, as far as I'm aware, the very first NFT, or big NFT. Then after these, I think the Bored Apes came second. But CryptoPunks, if I could hold one NFT, it would be a CryptoPunk. So if any of you out there want to send me a $100,000 CryptoPunk, I am more than happy to accept it. Bored Ape Yacht Club creator Yuga Labs has transferred the influential CryptoPunks IP to the newly established Infinite Node Foundation. Now, I think there's more to this than meets the eye, by the way. I don't think they've done it for the good of the health. A new established non-profit, the Infinite Node Foundation, has acquired CryptoPunks. Remember that Telegram was going to create TON until the SEC was going to come down on them, and they created the TON Foundation. And then TON became a separate entity, even though they're massively intertwined. I'm not saying that's the case in this, but it has a lot of similarities. The foundation will steward the project with 3 core foundations: preservation, community, and expansion. The CryptoPunks floor is up 74% in the last week. $123,000 a CryptoPunk. If I make more money than I have sense at the end of this bull run, I'm going to wait for the bear market and buy an NFT, but a good one. I've always wanted, actually, not the Bored Ape, the other one, Mutant Apes. I've always thought the Mutant Apes had better visuals, but I really don't like NFTs, and I'd only buy it because it's one of the OGs. The Infinite Foundation is now established. The foundation has got a $25 million grant to build the future of digital art. It will now steward the 10,000-piece Punks collection, first created by Lava Labs in 2017. Thing is, I remember all of this stuff going on, and I remember thinking at the time, this is absolute trash. Pudgy Penguin is way better than CryptoPunks. I love Pudgy Penguins, which is why I never sold it. I think I've said this before, that I've only held Wen and Pudgy. They're the only 2 airdrops that I bought. Sorry, not bought. Got airdropped and held. The rest have sold. I do like Pudgy Penguins. The problem is, I've got this thing, Ben Cowan talks about it as well. You look at things in life and you value them in Satoshis. So if I want to buy a new sofa, it's 100,000 Satoshis, for example. If I want to go and buy a Pudgy Penguins, it's 2.2 Bitcoin, for example. So I value everything like that in terms of Bitcoin, or in terms of the value of Bitcoin. And then I think to myself, over a long term, is that ever going to outrun Bitcoin? And in nearly every single case, the answer is no. I should have bought a Mutant Ape when it came down to about, I don't know what it was, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. I can't remember what it came down to. I should have bought one then. But of course, everything else was down massively. So it would have probably cost me the same it would cost me today. But yeah, I mean, there's a few NFT projects I like, and there's a few NFT projects that will hold value, but it's just at the end of the day, it's just pixels, and unless it's got inherent value, I can't bring myself to do it. Trust me, if I make $10 million this cycle, I'm buying a CryptoPunk. That's the plan. But if it happens or not is a different matter. So we're excited to announce they've taken over the CryptoPunks again. Why have they done it? Again, I don't. Some of this crap that comes out of people's mouths. When Yuga acquired the CryptoPunks IP, it wasn't about ownership. It was about honouring a cultural icon we believed in. We've worked to elevate the project, and protect their legacy, but we always knew punks needed a permanent home built for preservation. Seeing that vision come to life with the Node Foundation feels like a full circle moment. They are best positioned to protect the punks' legacy. Now, I saw something really cool on a vlog about 3 weeks ago, and I like this. And it was a crematorium. Where was the crematorium? Was it in Mexico? And what you do is you've got your little urn with the ashes of your loved one, and you put it in the crematorium, or you put it in the grave cemetery. And what you do is you put, I don't know what it was, $10,000 or whatever the amount was, you put that into one of their savings accounts, and the money from the savings account goes to the crematorium. The interest from the savings account goes to the crematorium every year. So whatever happens for the next 50 or 100 years, the crematorium will always have enough money to keep the crematorium going. So rather than saying, here's $10,000, or in the case of CryptoPunks, there's $25 million. What happens when the $25 million runs out? Do they get another grant? What would have been a better idea was put money away for the CryptoPunks Foundation, and then the CryptoPunks Foundation live off the interest, because then it should, in theory, stay for infinity, or not as infinity, but as long as money has its worth. But I quite like that idea about that crematorium. I think more projects should do the same. Look at the Nobel Peace Prize. The guy or the money that pays for the Nobel Peace Prize comes from the guy that invented TNT. The money's in a bank account. The interest goes to the people that win the Nobel Peace Prize. I like that idea because it keeps things going. Now then, we've got loads of time, mainly because I've not looked at charts today, which is good. Sometimes we don't need charts. Charts are for the experts like the Oracle and KB in chat, for example. Also, the Oracle is starting to put charts up on X. He did 2 last week, and both of them were accurate. One was for Syrup and one was for Moon, and he nailed both of them. He nailed both of them almost with unerring accuracy. One didn't come down as much as he said, and the other one almost pretty much hit it nail on the head. So he's going to start posting charts on X. If you want some predictions from the Oracle, ask him. He'll do the charts, put them up on X for you. Now then, this is something I've kind of mentioned to you in the past, and it's going to get more serious as the price of crypto goes up. So there's a few rules, ladies and gentlemen. Never tell anybody how much crypto you've got. Never tell a soul. Don't tell anybody. Nobody needs to know that you have got Bitcoin or Ethereum. A few years ago, I was in a Facebook group, and some guy put his portfolio up on the Facebook group. And that portfolio at the time was maybe $10,000. Today, it's probably worth $1 million. Criminals will go and steal a dog, which is worth $1,000. So if criminals will go and steal a dog worth $1,000, what do you think they're going to do to you? Let's say, case in point, I'm not going to pick anybody out of chat because that's actually not fair. Let's say you pick somebody, me, okay, and I say, right, guys, just so you all know, I've got 10 Bitcoin. Now, 10 Bitcoin today is $1 million. 10 Bitcoin, when we hit $1 million a Bitcoin, is clearly going to be worth $10 million. Now, is that something that these types of criminals will kidnap you for? Absolutely, they will. Absolutely, they will. And that's why you shouldn't tell anybody how much crypto you've got or what you hold. Okay. Now, I've told you my portfolio, but I've told you the percentages. I've never told you how much is in my portfolio because that's for me to know. I don't want to know how much is in your portfolio. That's for you to know. Nobody else should know about your portfolio. It's not for anybody to know. The only person that should really know about your portfolio is your husband or your wife or your partner, if you're that way inclined. So this stuff is not a one-off. It happens all the time. It's talked about on crypto Twitter. There are people who get put into the back of a van, taken to a room, and then the keys are extracted from them. And the key here is you can talk about crypto. You can have an X account, you can talk about it, you can do all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But imagine that there are people, friends, family, and acquaintances that might have friends that might not be as nice as your friends and family, who might say, you know what, I think we're going to go and pay our friend a little visit because once we've got hold of his Bitcoin or her Bitcoin, they're not ever going to get it back from us. Be careful. It's dangerous. I'm not going to read through the details of the article because it's not important, but this kind of stuff is going to go on. Suspects attempted to kidnap a crypto exchange's daughter and grandchild. What do you think they did it for? What do you think he would have done? Of course, he would have paid them a massive ransom. Just be very, very careful. Now, I have left plenty of time because I want to read you a speech. And I want to read you this speech. Let me just actually bring it up before you can see it. Okay, so I am there. Someone in this group said on X that they have 4 digits of Bitcoin law. No, Mags, I didn't say that. It was, how many people's worth of Bitcoin do you hold? And I said 4 figures. I didn't say I had 4 figures worth of Bitcoin. But again, it's not engagement farming. It's just commenting on posts. What I've started doing on X recently is I've started to try and interact with people outside of the sphere that I'm in. So I talk to people in Chronos Chain. I talk to people about Maple. Talk to people about lots of other things about the channel and things like that. And what I'm trying to do now is spread the net a bit further. So I think what we're at now, I think we're at about just over, I think we've got 5,000, I don't know, 5,000 and something followers on X. The plan is clearly to get to 10,000. That's going to take some time because we try and do things in a nice way. Now I'm going to read you a speech, and I want you to tell me who you think said this, and I want you to tell me if you disagree with any of it. Okay? It's crucial for the wider world to know this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. In the end, the so-called nation builders have wrecked more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies they didn't understand themselves. The gleaming marvels of Rijia and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal non-profits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions, and charting your own destinies in your own way. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather embracing your national traditions and embracing the same heritage that you love so deeply. You achieved a modern miracle, the Arabian way. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you that any country on earth is an oasis and a paradise. Every country has problems, from the UK to Saudi Arabia to America to Russia. Every country has its problems. But this speech by Trump, okay, is not about saying that they have a perfect country. What it's saying is America has put its oar in to such an extent that if you were to say what's the most dangerous country on this planet, the majority of people will say, oh, Russia or China, because that's what they've been told. The most dangerous country on earth is America, by far, and everybody knows this, okay? And the UK is probably in the top 5, okay? So it's not about human rights issues. I'm not going to go off. It's not a political rant I'm going to go off on here. What I'm saying is that the title of this show today is Peace is Hard. And the reason that peace is hard is because America has been at war for 300 years. They've been involved with conflict for 300 years. And everybody said when Trump came into power, he's doing it for himself, he's doing it for his own benefit, blah, 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 all of these other things. And yes, when you take somebody like Trump and make him your president, he's going to take his pound of flesh. World Liberty Financial is his pound of flesh. His stable coins are his pound of flesh. Okay? We know this. Okay? If you didn't think it before, even though I told you that World Liberty Financials was going to be his Achilles heel, then you certainly know it now. But with the bad, you have to accept the good. And having an American president stand up and give that speech to people, including a country I can't say the name of, and give them that speech, okay, is a sign of what he wants over the next 4 years. Because, again, self-centered Trump wants peace because it will make America more money. It will bring the money in. The investment will come in from the Middle East to America. AI is going in the opposite direction. AI and Sam Altman, don't want to go into his history. He said some things about the Middle East. He was there shaking hands yesterday. Okay, if you want to see somebody who's two-faced, look at Sam Altman. At least with Trump, a spade is a spade. That's all I'll say on him. But what this means for crypto, which is the reason for me bringing that up, is that crypto, like stocks, needs stability, and it doesn't like volatility, and it doesn't like black swans. So if this, there's supposed to be a meeting going on between Zelensky and Putin. That's supposed to be happening this week or next. America has met with China. There's now 90 days of this 10% reciprocal tariff thing going on. So he can't fix everything because he's one man and he's flawed. So aren't we all? But if the Ukraine crisis comes to an end, if the Chinese tariffs come to an end, and he can forge an alliance in the Middle East, if he can do all of that in his first year, what's he going to do in year 2, 3, and 4? And again, you can be left leaning, and you can talk about all the bad things that he's done. And I totally agree. The censorship against left-wing media is something I don't agree with. Of course not. But from our point of view, we, as crypto people, want peace, and we want everybody to live in harmony because all of your bags will grow. And as long as he stays in the kind of moral region of wanting peace, isn't that what we all want, in my opinion? Anyway, that's enough of my rant. It is now 11:59 and 55 seconds. I have managed to absolutely nail the time of this show. But what I am going to do before we go, one last thing, a video I want you to watch. And again, if you follow our Telegram group, I put these videos in there, and from time to time I will do a sponsored video. But just so you all know, is that coming up on the screen? Yes. This isn't a sponsored video. I've made a few videos which I think are on projects that I think you should look at. Pendle Finance, the Oracle did Pendle Finance. We found Pendle Finance through Syrup. Go and have a look at that video. It's actually a really good platform. Pendle Finance, that's number one. Mew, we've made a video about Mew because they've done some new things and obviously sponsored the channel. But this video here, the SUI video, if you have to watch two videos, today and tomorrow, watch the SUI video, watch the Pendle Finance video. Both of them will give you an insight into two different projects and chains. The ETH flippening video, that's a good video that nobody has seen because my SEO needs fixing. And then for the, it doesn't show it, but basically for the OGs, I made you guys a video about taking profits, and taking profits is important. I took profits last week. We have new equipment arriving this week. It's actually landing in Spain as we speak. That new equipment will be here hopefully by the end of the week. I took some profits. I took some profits out of Syrup. I took some profits out of Moon. I took some profits out of Crow. Didn't sell any Bitcoin because you need to take profits along the way. It doesn't matter if we keep going up. Taking a little bit, that's all we need. Right then. After 4 years, Americans will understand. I hope so. I hope so. I think that the propaganda machine in America has been despicable. But that's not the fault of the American people. It's the same with anyone. If you're told from a very early age that these people are bad, by the time you get to 20, 25 and 30, if you've not got critical thinking, you're going to think they're bad people. Without any proof, you're going to think they're bad people. And that goes for anything, you know, whether it be based on something like a god, whether it be based on a country, whether it be based on sporting teams. It's all based on what you're fed. And the machine in America, unfortunately, is very good at what it does. But anyway, I can't go off on this because I've got to stay on crypto. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm not back tomorrow. I'm back on Friday. Tomorrow I'll be making videos. So I'm not back tomorrow. Back on Friday. The Oracle is going to do some streams this week. And maybe me and the Oracle will be in the office on Friday together. We've managed to not do it for a few weeks, but we're going to try and do it on Friday. So take care. Thank you, Manjeet. Thank you, Kishan, Mags, Charles, KB. Have a great day. Hold your bags. Don't fade Bitcoin just yet.